So, cats and kittens, you think you know Greece, huh? Guess again. Well, you guys are in for a treat, because this video is going to dive into the original origins of Greece. Whether it's the play or it's the film, whether you love it, hate it, or love to hate it, Greece has always been and always will be very much a part of the greaser retro rockabilly culture. It's here to stay and it ain't going anywhere. So how much do you guys really know about Greece? Where it came from, what it was intended to be, and what it got turned into, and how we all know it to be today. So kick back, relax, and let's get to action, shall we? Alright, cats and kittens, what's doing? The other night, Madman got a tip from an old school Grease chick from the 90s. Her name is Julie. She's got a fan page on Facebook. It's called Julie's Puppets. Now, especially for you kittens that are really into the arts and crafts kind of thing, she does handcrafted rockabilly, punk rock, psychobilly, just kick-ass puppets. So if you are really into that kind of stuff, go on, check out the link in the description below, check her stuff out, get in contact with her. She's really awesome. Now, she sent me this tip. She said, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Grease, the movie, the play, what we know Grease to be, is not what we really know. That the origins are completely different. Now, this made sense to me because most plays, Hollywood movies, and stuff like that rarely actually stick to the original script or the origins or what it was intended to be. So I thought, hell, let's cover this because even I didn't know some of this stuff. So let's dive into that, shall we? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of give you a quick rundown of what the original Grease was and show you some pictures and kind of talk a little bit about the reality of what Grease really was. Because honestly, you don't want to sit here all night with me reading verbatim from every fucking article I've read. And honestly, I suck at reading from a script because I'm just a, off the fucking hip type of dude. I suck at reading fucking scripts. For a lot of you cats that don't know, the original Grease did not take place in Los Angeles like the movie. It actually took place in Chicago. So the real characters of Grease were based on teenagers that lived in Chicago that went to Taft High School from the early 50s to the early 60s. Surprise, surprise, the original Grease is different than the actual play or the movie. Who would have thunk that? Now, Jim Jacobs, who is one of the writers of the original Grease, it's his story. It's what he grew up with. It's the people that he grew up around. It would almost be like if I wrote a story and came up with like a play about a lot of the cats I grew up with. There was nothing PG or PG-13 about it or PC or any of that. The original Grease was a nitty, gritty, down and dirty way teenagers acted and talked. The original story of Grease would have been rated R. It was full of blue-collar language. So that means, for you that don't know that, means a lot of swearing and vulgarity. Just like in real life. Now, I've always said this. In the movie Grease, the Scorpions, to me, were always the most realistic out of the bunch. The way they walked and talked and acted, even though you didn't see a whole lot of them on screen. But from what I could tell, it was always the Scorpions, to me, that always resembled more of what greasers were like, even in my era. I mean, I watched it, the T-Birds, they were funny, they're kind of goofy, candy-ass-ish. But when you looked at, like, the Scorpions, they, to me, were the reality of what I saw around me. So, to me, they were the one element that was left in the movie that I felt was actually pretty realistic. They were very much like the greasers that I grew up with in high school. Foul-mouthed, fought a lot, swore a lot, got into trouble, dealing with, real relationship issues, real teenage issues. It wasn't PC, it wasn't cutesy, it wasn't song and dance on a, one summer night, fucking, rock and roll is here to stay, fucking Grease Lightning. It had really nothing to do with that. It was more based on real people, real happenings, real incidents. Very much like the stuff I talk about with some of my buddies that you've seen. They had various gangs such as the Ravens, the Goombas, the Imperials, the Outcasts, and the Pink Ladies, who were the toughest of the Greaser gang chicks. For instance, the original Grease did not have Rizzo or Frenchie, and the original Danny was based off of a cat by the name of Tom Mayer, who was tall, good looking, great with the ladies, had every chick that he wanted, and all the parents loved him. It's funny that the actual people in his neighborhood knew that it was him when they saw John Travolta. They're like, hey man, that was you. That's you. That character's based off you, man. Now there was a Sandy, but the real character of Sandy was based off of a chick by the name of Jeannie Kazemchek. And she was of Polish descent in a blue-collar, working-class neighborhood. And a lot of the fathers were in World War II and worked on the west side of Chicago in the various factories. Who would have thunk that, right? I didn't see that in Grease. Did you guys see that in Grease? Now, for instance, the real Pink Ladies did not wear pink jackets. The origin of their name actually comes from a goofy stunt that a few members pulled when they were 16 after church. What they would do is they'd wear the fancy white gloves and the hats and the nice, Sunday dresses, and they would go out on the town and sip these pink frothy gin cocktails. And if you look at the actual original logo of the Pink Ladies, notice this bubbling pink cocktail glass. This is a review that I think is very fitting for the original Grease. The original Grease was appropriately raw. In his rave review for the Chicago Tribune, William Leonard called the characters a bunch of foul-mouthed, lazy, brawling, useless, cheating, disrespectful no-goods, and warned the show was for those who don't mind dirty four-letter words and lots of them. Gee, sounds a lot like high school to me. So right here, this is Jim Jacobs in front of Taft High School talking with a reporter about what it was like and showing around the campus. And over here you have some of the Pink Ladies and Goombas and Ravens, as they are today. This one I really dig. This is Jim Jacobs when he was a teenager at Chicago's Foster Beach, sipping on a beer, smoking a cigarette. Reminds me so much of the cats I grew up with, guys. And over here we got the guys that were the T-Birds were based off of, and the guy standing in the center was the real Danny Zuko, Tom Mayer. In this picture you got Jim and the reporter at the Greasers hangout in Chicago's Northwest Side in the late 50s. This is them, of course, currently. And do you remember the slumber party in Grease where they did all the singing with the Sandra Dee and all that funny shit? Well, these pictures are of the real Pink Ladies during their slumber party. And over here is a Pink Lady wearing her jacket. And of course this is the Pink Ladies logo, the actual logo. So again, cats and kittens, all of these articles that I gathered information and pictures from, I will post them in the description below. Do yourself a favor, you got some time, you're sitting on the shitter, you're at lunch at work, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go ahead and check out those articles, man. Just go ahead and read through them. You'll get an even deeper insight than I was able to give because of time. And you can sit down and kind of just really read about the rich and powerful history of, the cats that inspired Grease. Who knows, someday there might be another Greaser movie and a neighborhood you grew up in or people you grew up with might inspire that movie. Also, a couple announcements, cats. We're coming up on the end of the month, and like I said, I'm going to be posting a video thanking and giving shout outs to those who have supported the channel. So if you've bought a sticker, a t-shirt, any stuff like that, any of the official gear that I've made, go ahead and send me a picture of you with your sticker or shirt or whatever, and then send me your YouTube screen name so I can properly shout you out. And you can send me those messages on the Facebook fan page. The link is in the description below. So if you've bought stuff, share it with me, let me know you did, and I will shout you out. Also, we still got Madman's Maniac shirts and stickers, so if you guys are still wanting to get those, I have not upped the price on any of that stuff. They have stayed the same, and they will for probably a couple weeks. So get on that while you can, cats. The madman's building an army, and the madman wants you. Dun, 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 dun. Whatever. Fuck it. We're moving on. So hopefully you cats and kittens really enjoyed this video. Like I said, go check out the articles, check out the pictures. They're fucking awesome. I really enjoyed finding out about this. I want to say again, thank you to Julie. You guys, again, are into the whole puppets and arts and crafts. You need to check out Julie's Puppets on Facebook. The link is in the description below, like I stated earlier. And if you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo. Hang loose and be safe. Madman's out. What do you want from me, huh? What you looking at? Now get out of here. You bother me.